Tommy, the way I most enjoy coming about this habits question is just saying, man, when you look at your day-to-day life right now, I mean, you can look historically, but things evolve. We always evolve. What are some of the specific habits and routines that you say, man, these are the anchors of my life?
Thank you for that, Kevin. Great question. And to me, it begins and ends. And you and I have talked about this at length about who I surround myself with.
Mm.
So at a minimum, 2 great conversations a day, most likely 3. I have 2 rules in life. Do the people I associate with make me happy, and do they make me better? And I'll give you an example. Right before we were on this session together, I talked to 2 men, Chris Tuff and Tim Carroll, and they both make me better and make me happy. And that helps keep me grounded. It helps keep me innovative. It helps keep me moving in the direction, and it helps also keep me humble. So I'm very, very intentional about how many conversations I have with those people, because we get lost in our days and our businesses and all the things that we do. But I'm very intentional every day about reaching out to certain individuals. I think a daily habit that this sounds simple, but we've got to protect and defend the fort. And the fort is our body. And so a minimum of 30 minutes of exercising. Some people saying walking is not exercising. I think walking actually feeds my soul, it feeds my heart, feeds my mind. And so I walk everywhere, but I also try to push my body for at least 30 minutes a day in some activity, Peloton, mirror, weight lifting, trainer, whatever that is, to keep the actual physical body going. But most important to me is not just that. It's, again, we talk about we've got to protect and defend this fort. It's mental, emotional, and spiritual for me. And I used to do all of this early in the morning, but I found that if I mix it up during the day, it's better. So let me tell you what I do. Every single day, I write down 5 to 6 things I'm grateful for, but I always include 2 of them to myself. And let me tell you, I'm an intention and action guy. Intention and action, intention and action. I believe intention without action is useless, and action without intention is useless. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, I'm working on certain things. And let me tell you one thing I wrote this morning. Thank you, Tommy, for being a loving, present husband. So what I'm doing is giving myself some self-love, building that heart, giving myself a little self-confidence, a little self-love. Us men, we struggle with that. But I'm also setting the intention to be more loving and present to my wife, because I struggle with that. So that's something I'm struggling with right now. So not only do I write gratitudes, but I also write my intention. And so one of the things I write every single day as well, Kevin, is I am so grateful that good health, love, joy, patience, courage, peace, presence, money, wealth, and success flow easily, frequently, and abundantly to me. And so I'm writing down these intentions and these gratitudes. It helps keep me grounded, helps keep me there, helps keep me in the moment, but it also helps me be in a place of abundance and not scarcity. I do a whole bunch of other things, but I want to stop talking just in case I'm losing you.
No, it's just beautiful. I'm sitting here typing to keep up with some of it. No, let me ask you some questions first off. You
Of course.
mentioned Chris Tuff, who people will remember. I had him on. Actually, this is Ziglar show. I had him on the Motive show. We talked about, he's the millennial whisperer, but talked about his own journey. I know he's one of your main guys, and so you talked about somebody else, and I know you've got, as we talked about in episode 891, you've got these mastermind groups. I mean, you are connected with influential people, guys that you go deep with, but even with that, it sounds like you still have kind of a couple core buds.
I do.
Okay.
A couple of core guys. And, friendship is difficult. And I realized one day I was surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands of people, either on stage or podcast or just through the network. But I was lonely, brother. I mean, I have my wife, who's always been the pillar and the oak in our relationship, but I needed more. I needed true connection. And Chris Tuff and a few others. And it's sad, but I think we can only nurture so many relationships. I really believe that.
I feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But for, I would, for the friendships that I hold them, the true friendships I hold them sacred. And I don't want anything from him, and he doesn't want anything from me. Now, we do a lot together, which makes it work because that's just the type of people we are. But every time, so this is a little behind the curtain. You ready for this?
Please.
So my love language is affirmation. I want to be told how important I am 24 hours a day. My wife cannot do that. It exhausts her. Right. Well, Chris Tuff's love language is affirmation, and his wife is not good at giving affirmation. So we call each other to build each other up too. So that's a little behind the curtain as well.
No, I love it. I love it. Hey, it's good timing. So Tommy, this is Ziglar episode 893. In Ziglar 890, just a real quick story. I post questions on Facebook. That's part of some of the weekly shows. And I had posted one, and then, 24 hours, got like 40 comments in 2 days, 80 comments. Now it's 150 comments or whatever, basic question. I posted one asking, who do you have in your daily life? Not, people out there in podcast land they're listening to, but who do they have in their daily life that's inspiring you? Tommy, I got one response.
Wow.
Yeah. And Tom Ziglar and I talked about that. And what that belies is that we do not, as a culture, have anyone, for the most part, anyone in our lives, as you're talking about, to come alongside, to walk with us, to inspire us, encourage us, affirm us, whatever. We do not have that in our lives. So to what you're saying, that is very timely for folks. If you didn't listen to 890, I'd say go listen to that. I want to ask you also about, you mentioned the morning, and I'm interested in that because right now I've never heard more content about, as Hal Elrod said, the miracle morning. Everybody has their morning routine. They hold it sacred and all that. And yet I've also found myself saying, okay, but folks, the point is to do these things. If you can do them in the morning, it may be the best time, but my gosh, if you can't do it till 10 o'clock at night when you sit down and journal and think about the time coming ahead, whenever, be okay. Like, I have permission to break out of this, it has to be 5 a.m. as Robin Sharma says, or it has to be whatever. So I appreciate you saying that you have let yourself, not be imprisoned to morning only.
Yeah, I found it being mechanical, and I find my mornings precious. And sometimes I just like sitting on the back porch, having coffee with my dogs and wife and having a conversation and preparing the day that way. And it got so mechanical with my readings, my meditation, my prayers, my gratitudes. I don't want anything to be mechanical. I want to enjoy it. And what I found is when I spread it out throughout the day and night, and I also have started doing it with my team members, with my family, and sometimes my clients, is read the Daily Stoic, read Radical Wisdom, read 365 Tao. Let's write down a couple of gratitudes together. And I found when I mixed it through the day, presence, peace of mind, patience, enjoying it, as opposed to, hey, this is a mechanical, I'm doing the reps to build my muscles. Mm-hmm. I found that I enjoy it more. My team enjoys it more. It makes us better. And it doesn't become so mechanical that I don't want to do it. And so I work really hard at mixing. Like, I have stuff laying all over my house, and that kind of drives my wife crazy, but I have books and journals and all that. And it's intentional so that I just pick it up and do it as I do it. And that's something I work on.
I appreciate the term mechanical. I like that. When I find myself doing something by rote, I try to be aware of that and give myself permission. Because again, it's so easy to look at, okay, what is the best formulaic routines for the day? It's this, and we're gonna do that every single day. Man, sometimes I just get tired of it. So thank you for
tired and don't want to do it. And it was so funny. You mentioned Sharma, and he has written some amazing books. But there was one point, me and some of my community were laughing. I mean, eventually some of these guys are going to say, don't sleep, just do a routine. Because it was 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m. Yeah.
Don't sleep, don't breathe, don't eat, fast. Right. That's what sometimes we feel like we're getting into the business of pretty much selling nothing. Okay. Just nothing. But
absolutely. What's interesting about that is, why we struggle with it, all of us, including Robin, is time.
Yeah.
Is we're trying to create time. And none of us have that power, right? Yeah. The most successful people on earth, to the people who are struggling with the word busy, is we don't have time. And so I'm very intentional about not saying I'm going to do 90 minutes at 5 a.m. every day, because I can't do mechanical. I just simply can't do it. I'll push back. I'm also not a very good rule follower. And so for me, mixing it up and making it fun and including my clients, including my team members, including my family, it's weird. So I'm going to take it a step further. I know we're going a little
No,
off.
this is beautiful.
What I love is when I love doing it the most is we were just talking about before we came on air is vacation. And I've found with some of the people that we go on vacation with, some of them are very close friends, some of them are new friends and everything in between. But when they see me out in the mornings, just reading and writing or looking out at the ocean or the mountains, about day 3, they join me. And I always ask them, do you mind if I read you this passage? Because I read these passages in these books every single day, this ancient wisdom that just feeds my soul. And I found that by the end of the vacation, they're all sitting next to me, waiting eagerly with their coffees or teas or water in the morning to do these routines with me. And when I do it in a community, it makes it so much more special.
Yes. Love the inspiration. Yeah. I mean, I find myself as everything keeps speeding up, I'm in a time of feeling like slow motion. I want to be slow down. Hey, you
Don't we
talked
all
about,
want that? Don't we all want
I
that?
think so. I mean, it's what I revere. I mean, if I see, somebody like you or whatever, and it's just 100 miles a minute and going forward, it's not attractive anymore.
No.
It's just not, but I
No.
still have the propensity because like you, man, I'm driven. I want to produce. That's my default is produce. It has been my default is produce. And I am trying to rewire that default.
And Kevin, you and I talked about this before coming on air as well. And I think this will just help people to hear this is in the pursuit of success and ambition, we thought we were simplifying our lives. With my business, my wife's business, we own lodges in the mountain. I mean, we've got a lot going on and we have become, and I hate this word, busy, not simple and complicated. And the whole point of all of that was to get less busy, less complicated. And so we are literally stepping away from all of it for 3 days and rediscussing what's important to us. How do we get more peace of mind, simplicity, and less complication in our lives? We're literally doing a staycation this weekend to do just that.
I love it, man. I love it. You talked about some of the exercise body movement. I'm always curious. I think most people are these days when you see so many things out there on nutrition and diet and whatever, anything that you're adhering to, following on the nutrition side.
I do the, help me with the words where I only eat for 8 hours a day. Is it intermediate fasting?
Intermittent fasting. Yeah.
So as we're speaking, I'm drinking a bulletproof coffee. One of my doctor friends gave me his recipe for bulletproof coffee, and I do it in the morning. I love it. So if anybody wants to email me, I'll give you his recipe. It tastes really, really darn good.
Okay. If you're going to say that email address, what is it, Tommy?
Email me, Tommy@TommyBreedlove.com. And I know I already get a million emails, but it's easy to reply with what the recipe is. Tommy@TommyBreedlove.com. And let me tell you, it is so good, but it is an expensive cup of coffee. So I'm going to warn you. But what it does is it juices you up. It gets you present. It tastes really good. I'm drinking it as we're talking here. And so I do that in the morning. And on the nutrition side, I have to watch. So one of my struggles in life is I love to eat and I love me some craft beer. And so that doesn't bode well for your belly. And I live in a place that two breweries are on my dog walk. Mm-hmm. So for me, the intermediate fasting, watching the carbs, I love to eat. I don't want to limit anything I eat because I enjoy it too much, but I do limit the carbs on a regular basis. I do the intermittent fasting and I always do bulletproof coffee in the morning.
Got it. Hey, can I tell you, so I'm a foodie. I mean, it is one of my greatest joys in life is making food, the process, eating food. So I didn't tell you this the other day when we were talking. I'm just coming off of COVID. So I was not immune. That's actually the show we're doing next is about Kevin got the coronavirus. We're going to talk
you and me both, brother.
And I have lost my taste and smell. And I'm struggling to not have it be one of the most devastating things to ever happen to me. I'm watching myself as I'm on the 5th, 6th, 7th day, whatever I am, of not being able to taste. And my buddy just said, "Hey, I'm running by Starbucks. You want me to get some?" Why waste the money? I can't taste it, man.
Right.
Yeah, what's the point? I'm hardly eating. And so and it's amazing when you take away that joy, that pleasure. And I'm struggling with it dulling a lot of everything and having to back off. Okay, I still got the rest of the life here. It's not, but it's amazing how much we get out of those pleasures. So I appreciate you saying that, because we're in this time period of everything that we talk about health wise is limiting everything. And I'm like, man, that doesn't work. That's not
No.
sustainable. I want
And it's
those
there's no
pleasures.
fun. There's so much there. And I'm so with you. First of all, let me say thank you for sharing that, Kevin. As someone who also had COVID at one time in his life, it will come back. So give it time.
Thank you.
Your taste and smell does come back. But it's so interesting. Life is so tough, right? It's not if life happens, it's when. From death to sickness to troubles to economic issues, political, social issues. Why not experience some joy? Now, I'm not one of these people to overindulge on everything, but if you like Ben and Jerry's, have you some Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
You like a good, eggs and bacon, have some eggs and bacon. Find enjoyment in the small things, and your life will be so much better. And then just trying to be so dogmatic and so perfect and so busy, we lose the joy in life. And for me and you, it sounds like food is that way.
It is amazing how much joy I get from food. So, do you cook? Are you a cook?
I have a few superpowers. One of my superpowers is not cooking. My friends would tell you I'm a good griller.
Okay.
I love grilling chicken and steaks and vegetables. And so I work really hard at being a good griller.
Yeah.
But I am not a good cook. My wife, who's a CFO of a major organization in this country, is an amazing cook. She just doesn't take time to do it. So we have people cook for, and this sounds like first world problems, and it is. We have people cook for us, whether it's a restaurant or others. But her superpower is cooking. I wish I cooked more.
Beauty. I got it. Hey, when you look, Tommy, at the, daily habits and the daily routines that you put value in, what are the ones where you have to give them affirmative action? They're a little more of a challenge. Like for me, exercise is fun. I gotta stop from exercising all day long. I don't need any affirmative. That's the easy one. I've got some other ones though, not so easy to come by.
I think the one that's difficult, the one that is easy for me is reading. If I got paid to read, it would be the greatest job ever, because I love knowledge and wisdom. So that's the easy one for me. I'd say the two most difficult for me, and they're the most powerful, is exercise. And it's not that I don't enjoy it, I just don't prioritize it. So how I overcome that is through community, through fun trainers, fun groups, finding people to hold me accountable, but do it with me so I can have great conversations while I do it. So exercise is my challenge. My second biggest challenge is meditation. And for me, meditation is about being proactive and not reactive. It's about being present. And it's also about, it helps me tremendously with stress. And it's the thing I probably need the most outside of exercise. So how I've overcome that as well. Everything for me, and this is just me, and this is opinion, not wisdom. For me, to help me do things, in my opinion, for me, I need to have community around me. And so the person who runs my entire business, Lindsay, loves to meditate. And so about 11 or 12 every day, I'm like, Lindsay, you want to do a meditation? She literally drops everything she's doing. She comes, sits down, she gets quiet, and she's ready. And so for me to help overcome all of these things, whether it's a neighbor, a friend, a colleague, or even my wife, meditation and exercise are very difficult for me. So I've made it a part of my community and made it a part of my fun, and also time for me to be around other people. So that's what I've done.
You know what? I'm gonna deviate a little bit from my norm on this, Tommy. As you are a guy, and I talked about this, in the intro with 891, the show we did together, that I know a lot of what I know of you is through other people like Chris Tuff, like my dad, Dan Miller, other influential people who have testified to the influence you've had on their lives. We talked a couple of days ago with Michael Jr. about mastermind groups. You're now leading mastermind groups. And I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you do that, and you do them specifically right now with men.
Correct.
As you look at these guys you are walking with, your peers with, your leader to, whatever, when you look at us, I'm going to say us, let's call them aspiring men out there, guys who are trying to, and this is going to relate to women as well, but I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of you specifically with guys right now. When you look at these habits for success that we would all look at and we would all recognize as good things. Where do you see the primary challenge for guys in today's world who are out there succeeding overall, but where are they struggling with?
All right, time to get real.
Yeah.
That's a real question. So I'm going to give you the absolute data-driven real answer.
Okay.
You want it?
I do.
Relationship with their significant other and their sex life. 100%. Not 99%, not 100%, because most of the people who are in masterminds and coaching, they're driven, they're ambitious, they're mostly successful or working on being successful. I would say the number one struggle is in their relationship with their significant other and or their sex life, and it probably go hand in hand. And the second one, and this is going to be hard to hear, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-love, and self-respect. Even if they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars or $0, self-esteem, self-respect, self-love. Those are the two biggest areas. They come in when whether it's a mastermind or one-on-one coaching or the group programs I run, they want more power, more status to be better leaders and more respect and make more money. And by the way, we want to do all that without not a whole lot of time. That's what they want. But what they need is more intimacy, love, and presence with their wife. They need a little more sex in their life. And I know that's probably a little bit bold for this. And they also need a little more self-love, self-confidence, and self-respect. That's the truth. That's data. That's not opinion.
That's a big answer.
It's a big answer. And this is over thousands of men. This is not me just saying one or two guys have come in this office, and this is the data.
So when you look again at those daily habits, and like we talked about with you, I'm going to assume that one of those, because when we look at, financial health, our personal health, relational health, our spiritual health, and we look at all these areas of health, the one that's not a surprise though, that I would say you are, what's belied by you saying that is the one that we tend to not make priority. It's not the most urgent. It's not the most pressing out there. Our habits, healthy habits towards our relational health. True?
Absolutely. You say, if I asked 10,000 men, what's their number one priority? 9,000 are going to say their family. They're absolutely lying to themselves and their family.
Yeah.
They're 100% lying. Because again, as men, we crave respect, power, status, and to be seen, heard, loved, and valued. And we think we get that through money and fame and business. And the truth is we put our family and our relationship with our significant other second. That's the truth. And we put ourselves third. And that's just total in reverse. We need to put ourselves first, our family and relationship second, our business third. And the business will come if you do 1 and 2 right. We've just got it backwards. But we all, and here's the thing too, and this is going to hit home a little bit. It's really interesting to me that people are significantly different out in public than they are at home. And that's sad. And something I strive for in my life and strive for in my communities and my coaching life is to get these men to be the same person behind closed doors that they are in public. And that's just the truth.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for you to say, Tommy, because as doing podcasts, my family is privy to everything that I put out. Not that they all sit and listen to my podcast. Some of them do, but they can listen to those. They're going to read what we put on social media. And now lately I've got 1 or 2 of my daughters working for me. And a lot of times they're literally sitting right here in my office listening. Man, and I sometimes they'll sit in here while I do this. And so what's coming out of my mouth, and they know the real thing. You talk about being on the hot seat.
Indeed.
Like,
can I share something on that same note?
Please.
My team, and we're growing quite significantly. Our team is so funny that you say that. I'm just going to pull up the kimono and get naked for a second.
Please.
I know when my chief person goes, Tommy, we write and talk about rest. We just don't do it. I was like, oh, that hit home. That's them calling me to the carpet, holding me accountable. And we need to walk the walk, just not talk the talk. Because we looked up and it had been 4 weeks and we're running hard. And the team's exhausted. The work's not as good. We're not getting along. And she called me out. Wow. And since then, I gave everybody the entire week. And I'm like, we need to rest. We need to reprioritize. Let's get away from each other. And so it's good when we do that. And if we empower people and our friends, our family, our colleagues to say, hey, you're not walking the walk, brother.
Yeah.
And she did that. And it was one of the biggest things she ever did for me.
Well, it's incredibly humbling, even writing the book that I've just submitted to the publisher, writing that and realizing how much real valuable knowledge exists in my head that I don't follow. And there was at one point I texted my wife while I was on this writing getaway. I said, man, I am blown away by how much great stuff I know. And it's coming out in this book. It's going to help people. Doggone it. If it's amazing how much of this stuff I'm not doing that well. So, I love that with my kids, with my family, and I hope with my audience, the ability to say, look, here is something that we see as a truth. It's pretty irrefutable. I am on the journey with you guys. I do not like, as Tommy Breedlove said, meditation, man, is probably the least thing I ever want to do at this time in my life.
Amen. And let's just be very candid and honest. Let's first of all lighten up on ourselves. And so what I mean by that, if we were perfect and or immortal, this life would be super boring, super boring. And so it doesn't matter. I see Guy's picture behind you, or Tony Robbins, or Robin, or you, me, your dad. We're not perfect. We're not immortal. We have our struggles. We have our fears. We have our insecurities. And honestly, we have our blind spots. Yeah. But isn't it fun to work on those and try every day? And I hate the word try, or do every day, work at being a little bit better than we were yesterday. Isn't that cool?
It is. It is. Thank you. Thank you for that, man. This is significant. I'm going to enjoy giving this out to guys to hear more on that, and I hear that, Tom, what I do want, I'm going to take advantage of you being here. When you say that, here's the number one struggle. You cannot be, everybody can go buy your book, Legendary. Not everybody can be in a mastermind, with you. As guys hear that, if 10,000 guys right now hear that and go, yeah, you got any resource you would recommend?
Read everything. And now you don't have to read. With Audible, with Kindle, with eBooks, read everything. The one thing that changed my life, and I was very successful in a former business life, but extremely unhappy, unfulfilled, and stressed out. The one thing that changed my life is I read everything I could get my hands on in business and self-development and time management and leadership. And I still do to this day. There is so much wisdom out there, and there's so many different flavors, strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, of that wisdom. And now with Audible or computers, they'll literally read it to you. Mm-hmm. So as opposed to turning on Netflix or Amazon or video games, or even worse, social media, because we waste so much time on this technology, it's almost like we're always in theater, right? Mm-hmm. But that's theater. That's not real. But wisdom is real. Truth is real. And if you read and or listen to everything you put your hands on, 365 days from now, you will be 10x better than you were when you started.
Yep. Some guy said you're who you are and where you are because of what you put in your mind. You can change who you are and where you are by what you put in your mind. I think that was Zig Ziglar, doggone it. So
nothing. He was pretty happy and successful.
Solomon said a long time ago, nothing new under the sun, man. We got to go back. I appreciate you talking about reading the Stoic stuff. I've got, actually it's some of the bathroom reading at our house. We've got that one. And then, gosh, what's the main, I don't know which book I've got by Aurelius. What is
probably Meditations.
Maybe so. Yeah. But I agreed. All right. Well,
Stoicism, Christianity, and Buddhism, what I found when I read the what I call the great spiritual traditions and religions, and, I identify more on the Christian side. But what you find is the more you read, they're all saying the same things with just different flavors. Isn't that beautiful?
It's funny to use that word identify, which is obviously a big buzzword these days as we talk about gender.
I was taught that, by the way.
Well, I'm interested in that because I'm going to use that, Tommy, because as I have been digging further and further into my own spirituality, and I grew up in the Bible Belt and Christianity, I find myself talking about things that I am putting my faith in, that a lot of them do identify more with Christianity than anything else.
Yeah.
but I don't want that label. And
Right.
there's a ball of wax to
And
talk
there's a
through
ball
there.
of wax, but we could also follow the great Maya Angelou. And when people asked her if she was a Christian, she goes, "Not yet, but I'm working really hard at it." I love that. What a great answer. And
That
who else can do better than that?
that is can't second guess Maya.
That's right.
All right, all right. Let's end up on. Let's end here. I really have gotten more and more intrigued every time I do this to ask what are when you look at the habits and the routines. Of course, everything you do is for your life and for out of the intentional purpose that you have for it. But what are some of the things you do just for Tommy? This is fun, play, hobby, self-care, whatever. It's just I'm going to do this because it makes Tommy a happy dude.
Two things is walk everywhere I can go, because I have gotten really good at presence. So I find beauty all around me. And even in my own community of Roswell, Georgia, when I walk everywhere, I'm always seeing something new with almost a child's eyes. Because if you look at children and watch their awe at the most simple things, I'm so envious of that. I worked intentionally at doing it. It has made me happy. The second thing I do, if I can be around water, fire, or mountains, that's my church. Water, fire, like watching a fire, I call it God's TV. If you ever put on a fire, it's God's TV. Water, fire, and mountains, and being around at those places, being around people who make me better and make me happy, that is my sweet spot. And I hope that's where I fall over. When my time ends, that's where I hope I fall over dead, is looking at a fire with great friends.
And that is beautiful. So I have a fire pit at 9,200 feet above sea level at my house. It's waiting for you in the Rockies. The only water we have though is frozen. So you'll have to deal with that, which is why we're heading to Florida next week. So
That's
man,
so cool, man.
I
So
am
cool.
kindred spirit with you on many levels. And thank you for sharing your insight, your heart, and giving us a behind the scenes look at Tommy Breedlove. It's an honor, Tommy. Thank you, brother.
Kevin, it's been my pleasure.